Hey everybody. So, we got Virginia Tech this weekend. And it's going to be a big game, obviously, because every game is a big game when it comes to Georgia Tech lately. We got we got, an undefeated record going into this game, so obviously we want to protect that. And it's getting sketchier and sketchier. I mean, we had a real close call last week against Wake Forest. Obviously, we had a bye week this past weekend, so it's pretty, it's pretty exciting that we're 5-0. But we got a lot of work to do to defend it, and we, tend to play up and down to our competition, and whether they're good or bad, we play up or down to them. It doesn't matter the type of opponent. We're not in the business of being freaking taking anybody too lightly, So we got to treat this as if it's the Super Bowl, and that's what Brent Key preaches, and I believe that the team believes that and buys into it. But I mean, consistency is a thing under Key that has been rough, and look, it's only year 3. I mean, having conference title hopes for any coach under year 3 of a complete rebuild is lofty expectations, right? So I think we should all take a step back and be grateful for where we're at. It seems like a lot of people are forgetting that lately. I certainly haven't because my days on YouTube doing content and stuff are a lot more fun these days than they are, than they were under Collins. So I'll never forget that. And I'll never stop appreciating Brent Key for what they have done. But that being said, we have an extremely good team this year, and it would be a shame and a waste if we didn't make the conference championship because we have that capability. It could be, if we don't, we could, look back on the Haynes King senior year and say what if. So hopefully we live up to our potential every single game this year, and if we do, we'll continue to be undefeated. Which is what we need to do against Virginia Tech. We have absolutely no reason to overlook. Wake Forest was supposedly not a good team, and we screwed around with them, completely no-showed for an entire half of football against them, and look what happened. We barely freaking lost. It was a miracle comeback victory. Had a crazy, sketchy call at the end, and we barely won that game. So I hope that we have we have the ability to win by a lot this week, but I'm not sure that we will. We're 14.5 favorites. Gun to my head, I mean, I would never bet a Georgia Tech game. It's just bad business because we're so inconsistent. But if you put a gun to my head, I'm taking freaking Virginia Tech in the points. 14.5 is a crazy number. I'm not sure where that number comes from. I don't know. Maybe it's a line that's begging people to take, Virginia Tech, and maybe Vegas knows that we're going to blow them out. Who knows? I sure hope we do. We get them at home. It's a bit of a revenge factor from last year. Last year Haynes King was out, so he didn't get to play against Virginia Tech. It was Pyron, and Pyron did not freaking play well, and he got benched, and we had Aaron Philo at the time. We didn't know how good he was yet, so he wasn't the backup at the time. It was Pyron. But now we got King and Philo, so we got a good quarterback situation now. So we'll be at full strength unlike last year, which is nice. A little bit of a revenge factor, of course. Virginia Tech has freaking fired their coach, and ever since doing that, they went 2-1. They went 2-0 right after their interim or whatever, and lost last week. But it is what it is. Like, they get the interim bump. We all remember how it was. I remember, of course, Key's interim year, and it's very exciting. The team, I guess, is playing with nothing to lose, and whatever the case, maybe the interim comes in and tries to, the interim's trying to get a job. So he's going to be doing all kind of stuff, busting out all the stops to try and get the job. So I remember those days, and interim teams can be scary. I mean, dang UCLA beat Penn State. So look, even if we get upset this weekend and ruin our perfect record, it's still not going to be near as awful as some of the other really big upsets that we saw just this past weekend. I mean, sure, good thing we didn't freaking play this past weekend, right? Florida lost or Florida beat Texas like crazy. Uh, you know, Florida couldn't even beat USF at home. Then they beat Texas, a top 10 team. Freaking UCLA beats Penn State. Insane. Probably the most humiliating, worst upset I've ever seen. Us losing to any other game on our schedule wouldn't be a fraction as humiliating as Penn State losing to UCLA. So it could always be worse. We've taken care of the FCS teams. We've taken care of the group of 5 team that we played. So now this remains probably as what would be the most embarrassing loss because they did fire their coach and it is embarrassing still to lose to an interim. So obviously I don't want to. I'd probably rather lose, to almost any other team on the schedule besides maybe Georgia or Syracuse. So it would still be bad, but, considering what went on this past weekend in college football, it wouldn't be near as bad as it could. So there's that. But look, the ACC is a tight race. We're going to need to probably go undefeated because there's quite a few teams that are undefeated in the ACC right now, and we're gonna be we don't even play. We don't play Virginia. We don't play Miami. Those are the 2 undefeated teams, and then is it Duke that's also undefeated? So we do play them, but there's a few undefeated teams in the ACC that don't play each other. So going undefeated is extremely important. Not only that, but point differentials could be looked at the end of the year. You never know. So I do hope we win by blowing them out. But look, if it goes down to being determined by point differentials, Georgia Tech is cooked because we win every game by the skin of our teeth. So, yeah, point differentials is not going to go our way, clearly, unless something big-time changes, which sucks because I know that, if Georgia Tech played, to our freaking potential every week, we could blow out every team we play because there's, like I said, quite a few undefeated, like really good teams in the hunt for the ACC title. There's also a bunch of really bad teams in the ACC, a bunch of really bad ones too, and Virginia Tech is one of them. So they're rough. They're worse than last year. I think we beat them. I mean, obviously, I think we beat them. I'm not gonna, but look, any opponent could upset us. Anyone on our schedule left could beat us. It doesn't matter how bad they are. Georgia Tech has freaking proved, right, that they will, unfortunately, shit the bed at opportune moments, which we can't afford to do this year since the ACC is such a tight race. So, anyway, I'll be streaming the game here 3:30 on Saturday on the Sea Dog channel. So if you want to see the Sea Dog live reaction, pop in on with me. I don't care. This is our Super Bowl. I don't freaking care, dude. Like, we got to win this game. I'm freaking hyped as hell for it. I want to stay undefeated. I want to get bowl eligible. What in the world? We're like our goal the last 2 seasons was to get bowl eligible, and now we're coming in week 6, have the chance. We're 5-0. We got the chance to be bowl eligible. So that's pretty insane. I'm obviously very excited for this year, and I'm very excited for this game. So, anyway, be streaming here Saturday. Don't miss it. Go Jackets, and I'll see y'all next time.